Hey, everybody, welcome to The Offensive. We are here live in Hammond, Indiana. Me and Hype went to the Bears' new home, and we are right now in the presidential suite of the Motel 6, the best hotel in Hammond, Indiana, the glorious jewel that is the sewer pipe of Northern Indiana. The Bears' new home. Dave, how are you doing? Good to see you.
So happy that I'm not with you guys, not smelling all of the exhaust and everything coming out of Chicago's sewers. It's beautiful up here in Minnesota.
I don't know what you're talking about. Look at this beautiful paneling. We got a beautiful, some steers playing poker.
Even see the smokestacks through the window that's covered in soot behind me.
Yeah, we got a nice AC unit up in here.
Yeah, that's filtering out some of the nuclear waste
a little bit,
but for the most part, I think I can still feel it. So
it's pretty nice.
But yeah, here we are, Hammond, Indiana. Welcome to the Bears' new home. Let's get into our episode today. We are going to talk about coaches on the hot seat, and we've got quite the list for you. Now, let's start with the obvious ones. Dave, who are the obvious coaches on the hot seat right now?
Well, PFF ran an article last week, and they named off Aaron Glenn. He's more of an honorable mention because we don't really consider him to be a head coach. Todd Bowles of the Bucks, Zach Taylor of the Bengals. Why does he still have a job? I don't flipping know. Shane Steichen of the Colts, and then they talk about some other coaches that are on the warm seat, which those are more the interesting ones that I'd like to begin with first.
Yeah, well, let's hear Doug's take on Aaron Glenn first. Doug's favorite coach.
He loves fucking Aaron Glenn.
Okay, first of all, this list is exempt now because Aaron Glenn is not an actual coach. He's only a cheerleader. I don't know if you watch a Jets game, he's just doing this the whole time. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. We got a first down. Like, I've never in my life seen a coach have like this much actual output and goodness as a coach and this much cheering of his team. Like, I'm like, have you ever seen a coach that looks just more like a joke and a clown than Aaron Glenn? I don't. And not only that, the Jets fans are saying that he's actually brought the team to new lows. Like, they're actually like lower and worse than they've ever been in their entire history.
And for the Jets, that's saying something. That's saying a lot. I mean, imagine hiring a defensive back, a former NFL player, defensive back, as your defensive coordinator, as your head coach, being a defensive coordinator, and you get 0 interceptions for the entirety of the season. Like, that's a drama or a story I wouldn't even believe.
And they had a decent defensive roster on that team.
Yeah, not terrible. I mean, they traded away their 2 best players, sure, but like one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. So the fact that he's still got a job is just because the Jets are dysfunctional. Let's be honest. They're just a dysfunctional mess. So, all right, Dave, let's talk about someone else then. Some of the warm seats. Give me your take on who seats warm and why you think that is.
My favorite warm seat in all of the league, Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
He inherited Aaron Rodgers. He set the record for the most wins in the first 3 seasons of any head coach in the league. And granted, I really believe they had a shot. If Aaron Rodgers would have listened to some of the play calls that LaFleur made, I think they would have won a Super Bowl. But Rodgers kind of got in his own way. It could have been 2 great forces just being a multiplier. Unfortunately, Rodgers kind of canceled him out. So that way LaFleur wasn't able to be as aggressive. Maybe he got a little tentative. Maybe something got in the back of his head. So I don't think he's achieved what we thought he was going to after his first 4 seasons. And Green Bay, they've given them wide receivers, obviously not first-round draft picks until last year, but they've still been investing in wide receivers the entire time. They've been investing in the offense. They go out, get Micah Parsons, and he still seems to come up short. Again, if you go by the playoff schema from 7 years ago, they've missed the playoffs the last 3 years, right? Because the 7 seed didn't exist. So they swung for the fences with Micah. Their offense is good, not great. I really believe he's holding back Love. I think Jordan Love is a great quarterback. So I think and it's very possible with the NFC North. I know that you guys like your chances and whatnot, but it's possible they may finish 3rd and miss the playoffs.
I agree. They could miss the playoffs this year. Like, let's say the Bears do well or the Vikings surprise us, right? All right. It's pretty well known that I am a big, not a detractor of Matt LaFleur, but I have issues with Matt LaFleur, and I need to see him do better. So I actually want to address this one because there's a lot of Bears fans, there's a lot of Lions fans, there's a lot of Vikings fans, and NFL fans in general that are calling us like weak for not liking our coach or not appreciating the fact that he's, got this amazing winning percentage and, saying like, oh, you're lucky you have LaFleur, you couldn't get somebody better. And it's like, okay, let me address that right now. A good informed fan base is critical of a coach that has a losing record in the playoffs. I don't care what his regular season record is. He has a losing record in the playoffs. Packers fans should be critical of LaFleur. Packers fans should remember that he didn't go for it on 4th down against Tampa Bay and chose to kick a field goal. Packers fans should remember how we screwed up the game in San Francisco. We should remember how we screwed up the game in Chicago last year. That is a consistent problem with LaFleur. Now, if we fired LaFleur tomorrow, would he have a coach 6 minutes later? Would he have a job 6 minutes later? He absolutely would have a job 6 minutes later. But look at the fans in Baltimore, for example. Harbaugh is an all-time coach. He's a Super Bowl winner, guys. Okay? Matty's not even a Super Bowl winner. They are excited that Harbaugh's gone and Minter's come in because they got tired of seeing Harbaugh do what? Lose in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Ultimately, when you're a good franchise, Minnesota, Chicago, Lions, I'm talking to you. When you're a good franchise,
I wouldn't call us a good franchise, my friend.
What's that, Dave?
I would not call us a good franchise, my friend. We're
aspiring
you
guys to be. Aren't good franchises. We are, which is why when our coach can't win playoff games, we're very critical of that coach. Yep. All right. So that's why NFC North fans, a lot of Packers fans are upset with LaFleur because making the playoffs isn't good enough for us. And we have every right to be critical of him. Now, do I think, again, he made Jordan Love better? Absolutely. Do I think he actually made Aaron Rodgers better? To your point, Dave, do I think he made Aaron Rodgers better? Actually, I do think he did that. Do I think Matt LaFleur would be the best offensive coordinator or maybe the second best offensive coordinator in football if he was an offensive coordinator? Yes, I do. But that doesn't always translate to you being the best head coach. So this is a big year for you, Matty LaFleur. You need to win a minimum of 1 playoff game. And for me personally, I'd like to see a win 2 because you have never done that in 7 years. He's never won 2 playoff games in a postseason. Hype, as a Packer fan, how do you feel about Matt LaFleur potentially being on the hot seat?
See, the thing about it is I think LaFleur is a good coach. The problem is that his offense is complicated and the Packers constantly have young teams. And he can't figure out a way to make it completely work. Even when Rodgers was there, there'd be issues with the receivers running the wrong routes, and the conflict with all that stuff. Now the problem is you have all these young receivers. Matthew Golden barely played last year because he couldn't get the offense down. And at the end of games, they always break down and have all these issues in the last 5 minutes because the offense is complicated. They're like confused of what to do. Jordan Love has to yell at people instead of getting them to the line, which is completely unacceptable. So like, if the Packers want to be successful, they can do it with LaFleur. And as they mature and now they're thinking, they're a little bit more open to having the Packers be a little bit older. You know what I mean? They're bringing in older players. They're keeping guys around a little bit more. They're, Christian Watson, whatever. I think that it can go in a really good direction if they mature a little bit and they get a little bit older. But they have to really, and that's I think why he said he wanted to strip down the offense and redo it is because they've had this problem over and over again of the offense just not being comfortable with the play calling and knowing what to do at all times. I mean, you see it perfectly in the wide receiver screens, and when the more complicated they get, the more team just shoots themselves in the foot, right? They're just not smooth. They're just not in sync. They don't have a rhythm. And the only time they have a rhythm is on 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 12 when Jordan Love just like throws a bomb and it's all Jordan Love just making it happen. I mean, the play calling is probably pretty good, but like Jordan Love is just making awesome stuff happen with fast receivers. They need to go back to when they can just scheme open tight ends and just get stuff going on because they have enough veteran guys to understand the offense. So I think if I had a bet, money, I would say that that they would mature and they're going to improve and LaFleur will be fine. But I still haven't seen them really do it yet. So, You know what I mean? It's kind of like where you're thinking, like, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I have to see it first before I actually say, like, I really believe it. And I really think LaFleur is going to take a step.
What do you think hype would have to happen in order for LaFleur to lose his job? Do you think just missing the playoffs would be enough if he has Jordan Love healthy for a season?
Maybe not this year, but if the next year it wasn't looking good, then I think it would happen. Because with McCarthy, if you remember, they were kind of going through similar stuff where they were barely making the playoffs. But then when they just looked plain bad as a team, that's when he got fired.
Yeah. And I think I agree with Hype there, Dave. I think even if the Packers miss the playoffs this year, let's say we do finish in third. Let's say we actually finish 9-8 or 10-7 and miss the playoffs. That's very plausible, right? That you could have a winning record and miss the playoffs. I think we're about a 10 or 11 win team. Let's say we lose 2 extra games, we win 9 games like we did last year, and we miss out. I don't think LaFleur's going.
And it could happen with Micah being hurt.
Yeah, or
It's
it could
possible.
just be bad luck, or we could miss 72 field goals. You know,
We can miss all the field goals because Mac.
You got promise so
I
far.
think LaFleur losing his job this year, Dave, he'd have to win like 4 or 5 games. I think there's very little chance of that. But I think if he has a year like that this year, he'll be heavily under the microscope next year. And if he doesn't win a playoff game the year after, I think he'd be gone for certain after that. So, because I think for us, that since he's been such a good regular season head coach, we need to see the next part. We need to see the playoff coach version of him be good. And yeah, we got to find out.
And we're at the point now where Jordan Love has been rated very highly analytically last year. Like he looked really good. So now you're going like, oh, you know, on one hand, he did develop Jordan Love, but like Jordan Love now is operating at a very high level, like top 5 from PFF last year. So now if LaFleur does not bring us to that next level, now people are going to be like blaming him and not Jordan Love often.
He's going to be Doug Collins.
Yeah.
For the Bills of the 80s.
Jordan Love against the Eagles 2 years ago didn't have a great game, but in previous playoff, Jordan Love's had one not great playoff game. Last year, it wasn't the offense, it was the defense.
Right.
Against the Niners, it was the special teams and the defense giving up the lead. And then they won the one game against the Cowboys where they scored almost 50 damn points, right? So I don't know if I necessarily know if it's LaFleur's offense. I think it's a combination of like the 3 never work together. And that was a problem. That's been a problem for 15 years, basically, for the Packers.
Well, the offense has to be everything.
Yeah,
the defense has to be good enough, but like the offense has to. I mean, look at when we won the Super Bowl. Even though we had a good defense, it was because of turnovers. We couldn't stop anybody on defense. We just got lots of turnovers. Well, but the offense was just scoring so much; it didn't matter what the defense did.
They were like 10th or 11th in like total points allowed, so they weren't terrible.
They were actually higher than that in 2010, but
they weren't the Seahawks like last year where they just
no. It's not like you could just do 3 and outs all the time. They would just get the interceptions.
All right.
So I got a question for you.
We all agree that Matt LaFleur's safe this year, but there's a chance that if things don't go well, maybe next year's a different story. Now, let me bring up some.
I just want to say, so Holmgren, he had some people afraid of him, right? He had some fear of God, and he was able to get his offense and the defense all on one page. LaFleur, is he just a little bit too soft? Is Jonathan Gannon? I haven't watched any Cardinals games, because I had Marvin Harrison on my team and I just couldn't bear to watch that crap. How is he as a coach? Is he a fire and brimstone?
I think he is.
I think you need to have
guys from practice. They're like, he's all up our ass all day long.
Yeah,
like he's a hard ass.
Remember he got in trouble for punching one of his players. So
like, that's true.
Literally, Cisse, when they asked Cisse how's it going, he's like, I think I'm doing pretty good, but he's just like up my butt constantly, telling me what I'm doing wrong every second of the day.
No, Gannon is one of those guys that I think is suited to be a defensive coordinator, maybe not a head coach.
Yeah.
But again, even the Arizona guys who, after he left, said they had respect for him as a coach.
Okay.
So I like that.
Yeah, he's much more fire and brimstone than
LaFleur needed.
Hafley has a lot of energy, but he was like never like a mean guy.
Yeah.
Whereas Gannon's like F you type guy.
I'm definitely. So, Dave, remember when we hired Gannon, how mad I was about it? And I still have my reservations because of his fourth quarter defense and because of Matt LaFleur's fourth quarter history.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still terrified, but I'm warming up to the Gannon hire, I think, because of the way he is as a defensive coordinator, more so than the way he was as a head coach, right?
And they kind of need that because LaFleur might kind of do that, but I don't think it's like impactful.
No, he's too soft. You need somebody that can get some fire.
Yeah, and even when I hear LaFleur say stuff like you gotta, scared money don't make money.
Yeah, and
like,
your piss is hot.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine his players feel different.
It sounds cool. LaFleur's got tons of cool sound bites, but the question is, does it show up on the field? Do you buy it?
Like, if Dan Campbell told me to like chew one of my teeth, I'd be like, okay, I gotta chew one of my teeth. You know what I mean? Like,
as long as you bring it up, is there anyone else that you think that's on the warm seat?
Oh yeah, I got one, dude. I got a big one that people are gonna think is stupid, but I'm telling you right now, Kevin O'Connell is on the hot seat in Minnesota, and here's why. Let's think about Kevin O'Connell.
Does not like that call.
What does he get credit for? For being Matthew Stafford's offensive coordinator on the Rams, right? Was that really him, or was that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford being a fantastic quarterback? Then he gets credit for Kirk O'Chain's having a better career. I mean, he did improve his numbers because he had way better offensive players, but did he really make Kirk O'Chain's that much better than what he was in Washington? Okay, and then you bring in Sam Darnold. It's like, oh, he revolutionized Sam Darnold, did he? Because Sam Darnold was fine on San Francisco, and then Sam Darnold goes to Seattle and wins the Super Bowl without you. And then you get J.J. McCarthy, a top 10 pick, a person who I think is trash, but a lot of NFL guys didn't. And he's the worst or second worst rookie quarterback of all time, along with Jamarcus Russell. I mean, what are you doing, Kevin O'Connell? What are you actually teaching over there? Because to me, it seems like all the quarterback success has been from guys who were already good and you did nothing. And then when you get a guy to mold, he's hot, the hottest garbage I've seen in decades. And so now you've got Kyler. If you fix Kyler, I'll shut up and say I was wrong. Okay. Or if you somehow fix JJ, I'll shut up and say I was wrong. But you know what? Something tells me that's not going to be the case. Something tells me that Kevin O'Connell might be a bit of a fraud. And something tells me that they have a ready-made head coach on that defensive side of the football that can step right in. So the reason I think Kevin O'Connell might be on the hot seat is if this offense looks like hot garbage for 2 years in a row, they have one of the best candidates to become a head coach right there in the building, and that might just push him out. So that's my hot take, is that if the Vikings are hot garbage this year and their offense looks terrible again, Kevin O'Connell might actually walk out.
So maybe he's like a great head coach if he has a great offense already and a good quarterback, but then you give him people to develop and it's kind of falls apart.
I mean, I've never seen a rookie quarterback look so terrible. And he's a top 10 pick, or what was he, 11? He was 11, 10. He was right there, right? Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, and this is, by the way, with a pretty good offensive line and
Justin Jefferson
and TJ Hawkinson and weapons, and JJ McCarthy had Jamarcus Russell-like efficiency last year. So either he was the most overhyped quarterback since Jamarcus Russell, or maybe Kevin O'Connell doesn't actually know how to teach a guy how to play quarterback, and he's been riding coattails. Just saying.
I think it's a little mixture of both. I think JJ McCarthy is not a pass-first quarterback. He's a run-first quarterback. And I think, and like, I don't know, maybe you can't really, pull anything out of that. But yeah, if you don't have an elite level quarterback, Kevin O'Connell maybe can't do it.
We'll see.
He said Justin Jefferson.
Exciting. Go ahead, Dave.
He said Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's great to make mediocre quarterbacks look good when you have Justin Jefferson.
Again,
they finally found something.
He had Stephon Diggs. Like, he had weapons all around him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be the year. If he fixes Kyler, I will admit that I was wrong. If Kyler looks great in Minnesota, I will admit that I was wrong, right? But I have a feeling that's not going to be the case, right? And we know JJ McCarthy ain't it. Maybe he can get a little bit better, but man, that JJ, like, what was JJ doing? Like, the whole season, it just seemed like he was lost. So I don't know what Kevin's teaching him, but obviously he was watching the same film that Jamarcus Russell was watching. Historically, everyone knows, which was nothing.
He's like he's like a Tim Tebow guy that looks really exciting, but he can't put touch on the ball. He can't really place it well. He's just doesn't have a great arm.
All right, let's move on to another NFC North team. I think Dan Campbell is fantastic, but there's some people saying that he's a fraudster and that the Lions might finish last in the division this year. So let me give you guys this scenario. The Lions finished last in the division. They have the easiest record of any team in the division. If the Lions finish fourth again, do they consider firing Dan Campbell?
And this is the thing. This could easily happen. What if Gibbs gets hurt and they're just left with Isaiah Pacheco, who's gets hurt all the time, and they don't have the running game. Their all line is not elite anymore. Then they just become a middle of the road, barely over 500 team.
Yeah. I mean, and they've dealt with a lot of injuries on defense, but I got to say, Dan Campbell's go for it on fourth down didn't look too great.
I mean, are you going to give Gibbs 40 carries a game? I mean, they should, but like, I don't think he can keep up with that. I don't think he's going to be durable to be able to do that.
So there's some people saying that. Now, as much as I've talked crap about O'Connell, I will say this. Detroit hasn't had an actual good head coach since Wayne Fontes, RIP Rasputin. I think you got to give Dan Campbell a bit more of a runway, even if he has another bad season, to figure it out, because I think Dan Campbell is what Detroit needs to be successful, at least now. And I think if they fired him, they would regret it. That's my personal opinion, even if they had a bad year. Dave, what do you think about that? Do you think Dan Campbell is a fraudster? Do you think they're going to start going downhill, or do you think last year was just a hiccup?
I think maybe he I think his offensive coordinator may have helped him quite a bit. And then once he lost Ben Johnson,
He's all right, I guess.
he was still, they still had a pretty efficient offense.
Yeah.
And
he may
don't
have
get wrong-
overachieved, but the fact
Oh,
that
yeah.
he hired Ben Johnson and knew that was the guy shows that he knows something, right? So
Right.
maybe he was also calling a lot of the offensive plays last year, which he's not
Yep.
this year. So he also admitted that mistake and changed, right? So like I think he at least knows talent, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe give him a bit of a runway, but I kind of agree with you. I think he maybe overachieved a teeny bit because Ben Johnson was such a good offensive.
But the
mind.
thing is that if you have like a top one of one offensive line, you can run almost any offense and do well. You know what I mean? Their offensive line has been extremely elite, like the best in the league for like, I don't know, 10 years in a row because they kept getting first round draft picks. And then all of a sudden they made it lose guys in the middle of the line, and people are just all of a sudden being able to get some pressure there, and their offense then turns into just like a medium run of the mill offense.
Yeah. No, offensive line makes a big difference. And I mean, I think we talked about that before, though, Dave, is that maybe part of the Ben Johnson effect is that your offensive line is better because of the misdirection. And because,
that could also be true.
Because he is a genius play caller. I mean, again, I talked about how good your center was. Tooney won the offensive lineman of the year. Your offensive line before Ben Johnson was pretty terrible, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
And then automatically you bring in 3 new guys and they're the second best offensive line. I mean, yes, talent makes a difference.
But they were 3 really good offensive
100%.
linemen.
But I think the Ben Johnson
that's the interesting
offense,
thing, though. Jonah Jackson, who he brought off of the Rams, he got big money after playing in Detroit. He did good in Detroit for a year. He got big money for the Rams, and Sean McVay couldn't do anything with him. They basically had to bench him because he was garbage. So Ben Johnson was able to come in and said, no, come on back. I know how to use you correctly. So
I think the Ben Johnson offense, being like a defensive guy, if I'm going against the Ben Johnson offense, I'm probably less aggressive because Ben Johnson's offense has got so many tricks and tools to it that I think that helps his offensive line generally. Do I think it makes them 27-2? No. But do I think if they were the 8th best offensive line and they had the Ben Johnson offense, could they be the best or second best offensive line? Yeah, I would actually think that he could have that sort of effect. So does Detroit now, without Ben Johnson, just continue to have a mediocre to not great offense?
Well, Soder thinks they're cooked. He thinks Goff is like giving them a handicap because, if that offensive line doesn't have elite pass blocking, it's pumpkin mode.
Yeah, Goff is rough. And all you got to do is get pressure up the middle, and he's absolutely terrible. So,
but he's in the last 4 seasons, he's led the league in yards and touchdowns.
True.
Which is
Goff, when he gets great protection, he's very good.
Yeah, that's the last 4 years combined, though, Dave. Right?
Yeah,
that's the last 4 years combined. So it's been kind of trending in the not good direction, though, right?
Oh, sure.
So, and again, 2 of those years were with Ben Johnson. 3 of those years, with Ben Johnson. So, all right, I don't think Dan Campbell's really on the hot seat, but I just want to throw it out there because some people think it's a possibility, but I don't really think he's on the hot seat. All right, is there any other coach that you guys think might potentially lose his job after this year? Because I got one more, but is there any on your guys' mind?
You 2 years first.
Okay. So Joe Barry in Buffalo. I don't even understand the hire, if I'm being honest, because the thing about Buffalo is like, I thought they needed a whole reset, and just to promote the OC to me is a little bit crazy. It's a little bit crazy to me. And so if the Bills end up second in that division again, or only win 1 playoff game, and let's say don't make it to the AFC Championship game, I can see Joe Barry being 100% one and done. I can absolutely see him being one and done. Dude, as a coach coming into that franchise right now where the Bills are ready to compete for a Super Bowl right now, if they don't make the AFC Championship game, do you guys think they would actually fire him? Because I think there's a good chance they would.
I mean, they probably should. I mean, they can't ruin this window that they have with their quarterback.
The problem that the Buffalo Bills have is Brandon Beane.
Yeah.
They promoted him to president of football operations after he was a general manager. He fired the head coach. This was a lot of the stuff on there. It has his fingerprints on it. So he said, nope, this is my guy. This is a guy that's going to take us over the top. And he doesn't seem like the guy who's going to admit that he's wrong after 1 year. I think he can be stubborn. I think he's going to give him at least 3 years of a leash.
Oh, that's too bad. And again, I think Joe Barry's a good OC. But again, Sean McDermott, I'm not even against the firing of Sean McDermott. Like McDermott, when you can't get over the hump, you got to do something. Yeah. You got to do something. But dude, they should have went hard for like Bob Saleh or like one of these other coaches, even Kubiak. Like just promoting your OC, it's just like you're kicking the can down the road. I feel like how is he going to get you over the hump? Is my question, because he's already been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the offense was not the problem, but also the offense wasn't what was getting you over the hump either.
Exactly.
They needed to get somebody. They needed to talk to the Vikings about their defensive coordinator, seeing, hey, why don't we get an ass kicker in here? You know, I think, like you said, that or Robert Saleh would have been great.
They do have Jim Leonard as their DC now, which, you know, Joe Barry, good job. You know, we're just talking crap about their GM, but like Joe Barry, good job with that hire. But it's nuts to me. But I hope it works out. But I think there's a possibility he's gone, even though their GM is a little bit nuts. And they're Soder. So we were just talking about how you think Dan Campbell's a fraud. We will find out. But any other coaches that you guys can think of? Yeah, Zach Taylor, I think, is pretty obvious. The fact that Zach Taylor still has a job to me is crazy. He should have been fired probably 2 years ago, if you're asking me.
Well, like, you know, their coach is talking, or their quarterback's talking about how, like, we should be winning a Super Bowl. Like, he's like, that if we're not winning a Super Bowl, like, stuff needs to change. So Joe Burrow is kind of like putting feet to the fire right now, saying like, and I think that what he's doing is hinting that, like, hey, I'm your quarterback. You better fix whatever needs to be fixed or do whatever you need to do to get a championship, or I'm the hell out of here.
Yeah. I mean, so the Bengals are cheap as hell. We all know that. The Bengals are like historically cheap. And do they then move off of their quarterback who demands a trade by keeping Zach Taylor? No, you don't do that. You fire Zach Taylor and you find somebody else. Plus, when you have Joe Burrow, you're going to get one of the better candidates. You just are. You're going to get one of the better candidates because you have Joe Burrow. One of the reasons that, you know, that the Bears are in the situation they're in is because they had Caleb as the first overall pick, right? Yep. I mean, dude, when you have an all-pro, all-world quarterback, you get a good coach. You're going to get one of the best coaches. It just makes the most sense. So, I don't know, Bengals. I don't know why you held on to them, but maybe they
missed the playoffs the last 3 years.
Dude, this is what I'm
saying.
Joe
Burrow and those wide receivers. There's no excuse.
Yeah. So, all right. Any other coaches?
Yeah, I do. And as you know, everything I talk about usually has secret motives. And my secret motive is that Shane Steichen from the Colts will get fired. The whole team is going to have a complete meltdown this year. And that means Jonathan Taylor will go to the Packers as their new running back and get 2,000 yards on the ground, not even including receiving yards.
All right. So, but we're going to get him like week 8.
Yeah. Whenever we have a running back controversy or we decide we don't want Josh Jacobs anymore, we just get Jonathan Taylor and he gets 2,000 yards. Yeah. And Shane gets fired. The Colts have a meltdown. They do a whole rebuild, whatever.
I mean, Steichen's been working with like paper mache models back there at quarterback, though, man.
Yeah.
And the one time he gets a guy that's not trashing Jones, they did really well.
Well, they also have a really good offensive line.
And so they have a very good offensive line.
When that offensive line is not giving, it's the same as lines. When the offensive line is not giving them super protection, it breaks down and they have issues.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to find that there's like chinks in the armor.
I mean, okay.
Well, they stuck him with Anthony Richardson right away as soon as they made him head coach.
Yeah, they were trying to get him out of town, I guess.
Dude. I mean, the fact that the GM gave him Anthony Richardson to work with, it's like they want him to lose his job, right? So, and then they re-sign Daniel Jones to a big contract, Alec Pierce to a big contract. So obviously they're putting.
That's why I'm saying they're putting all this in
him. Yeah. So if he doesn't come through this year, make the playoffs.
I just don't. I don't have. You know, like you saw what happened last year. They're starting strong and then they fall apart.
And he's one of those guys that I think could get a job pretty quick right away. Maybe at least, you know.
I just want some Jonathan Taylor action.
Right, fair enough. Dude, so here's another one. So like all you guys that are complaining that us Packer fans are complaining about LaFleur, Sirianni won a Super Bowl 2 years ago and Eagles fans can't wait to get rid of him. Now, not comparing myself
that's because his offensive coordinators were great. He had Steichen, who's a great offensive coordinator. He had Kellen Moore, great offensive coordinator. Without great offensive coordinators, they're hot garbage. And Sirianni was supposed to be an offensive guy, right?
Yeah, he was. Yep. Now, here's a good question. If Sirianni gets the can, which is possible, right? Because it seems like the Eagles are imploding as we speak. Like, does he get a job right away? Because I feel like he might, I mean, dude's a Super Bowl champion.
I
right?
don't think he'd get a head coaching gig, though.
You don't think so? No?
The culture there is just kind of gross, and a lot of it comes from him. He hasn't, everyone's felt it'd be gross for like 3+ years, right? And the only reason that they won is because their GM put together an amazing team.
Yeah, they have the all-star roster.
All-star roster. Of some head cases, though. So him making it
did you hear the
worse.
best part? They may be hiring somebody who the Dolphins have released in this offseason. They're looking at him.
Oh, boy.
Are we talking about Mr. Cheetah?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Because he's totally
yeah, he's not toxic, guys. What are you
he's
talking about?
totally
that would
He's
be
chill.
Did he
hilarious.
make more kids than touchdowns?
Look, he's a chill dude, guys.
Yeah.
No problems. He's busy making kids.
Hey man, Tyreek's dude, he's got to put food on the table. Give that man a paycheck. Give that man a paycheck.
That would be exciting to see the meltdown and the craziness, like Antonio Brown level
I can't
stuff.
wait. I kind of hope he goes to Philadelphia.
I feel like there's going to be like Antonio Brown level stuff happening every year. There's going to be a new guy, new meltdown, new thing. I mean, players are just getting so much money now, and there's so much like exposure in the media that they just don't care.
Yeah.
They just don't care. They're just like they're much more like a celebrity now than they are a member of a football team.
Yeah.
Like, look what happened with the 49ers. Like, I mean, all you see in the press is just like the whole drama happening with what's his name, the wide receiver.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Brandon Ayuk.
Brandon Ayuk.
Oh yeah.
He's literally just doing TikTok videos every day, talking trash to him.
Showing himself speeding by the
you
stadium
dummies.
and then
Every
get
time you
tickets.
get dummies, it's like dummy. It's literally like WW. You were dumb enough to sign me, you sucker.
Well, that's the funny thing is if they cut him, then they're on the hook for his salary. If he doesn't show up to camp, that's a lot of salary cap relief. So who's the real dummy there?
And who's going to trade for that guy after he's all over the place doing?
No. All right. Any other
Next
coaches
topic?
that you guys could think of? Do we think Shanahan's even close to being anywhere near the hot seat if they have a terrible season? San Francisco?
Nah.
What about John Lynch? I think John Lynch might get let go. If
Maybe.
you look at his draft history, yikes, John.
Yeah,
Lynch should be canned.
Yeah, I feel like, dude, just the trade for Trey Lance and all those draft picks too is just, oof, that's one of the worst, dude. I mean, that's not quite Cleveland Browns level, but like it's up there. It's up there for draft trade mistakes.
They've been the worst like drafting team in the last like 6 years.
Yeah, really bad. Really.
Shanahan's just been holding the boat together, basically.
Yeah, and I feel like Todd Bowles maybe just like there's a lease that they can't get out of in Tampa Bay. Like he bought an apartment.
yeah.
They're not allowed to let him go. There's like some sort of squatter rule because
he's a squatter.
Like they can't get rid of him.
The difference between Bowles and Sirianni is Bowles was lucky enough to string together 3 great offensive coordinators in a row, and now he finally ran out.
Yeah, he did.
So that's what happened last year because his OCs, Baker got them all head coaching jobs. Now that they're out of it and Baker's arm might be toast.
Yeah.
This could be the year that Bowles
I just don't feel any of the love for Baker this year. I feel like he's just running out of steam.
The Bucs. And honestly, I like Todd Bowles. I think he's a very good defensive coordinator, but their defense has been trash. And like you said, Dave, they've been carried by their offense for 3 years while their defense has been terrible and he hasn't really fixed it. So it's like, is it the GM? Is it him? Because again, he did have great offensive coordinators. He's picking the right people. He's well loved among, inside the NFL. Everybody talks really good about him. But the Bucs fans are sick of him because, they can't really win big games either. But I don't know how much else he could do with that roster, if I'm being honest. Like, do we expect the Bucs to make an NFC Championship game with that
D line
roster?
as an anchor? They just need to get a pass rush.
Yeah, well,
they might have him with Tampa Bain.
The Tampa Bains. We'll see. We'll see.
This will be the year. Either win
Warren
or
Sapp's going to come out of retirement.
There you go.
Just like with the Rams and like their old.
I think Todd Bowles will get a defensive coordinator job like instantly.
Oh, easily, yeah.
But maybe this is just not the right spot for him. And I think Tampa Bay's just they're aging out, man. They're aging out. Like most of their stars were older. They got a few young guys, but Tristan Wirfs, their best offensive lineman, was hurt a lot last year. I think it's just because they're in such a bad division. They expect to do better than they're doing because they're kind of in the thick of it with the Saints and the Panthers. And they're like, we're better than this. And it's like, you're kind of not, actually. You're kind of not. So, yeah.
I think that's good. I think that's a good assessment of coaches on the hot seat, but I think we should turn our attention to a big breaking news story.
All right, let's hear it.
Gigantic. The Packers put out a press release talking major trash to a representative Fitzgerald of Wisconsin, who's kind of like a Trumper guy or whatever. He's trying to be the savior of TV media so that everyone can watch like the Packers on like, on Easy Street and not local television and not have streaming services, which, yes, we all kind of think that's annoying, but the Packers just laid down a sledgehammer and said that it is a careless and unwise to rearrange the bricks of a foundation which has stood strong for over half a century to allow teams like the Packers to exist. Basically, the Packers are saying our current contract, our current situation, we are making good money where we can continue to do this in the future. And if you start to pull the bricks out, rearrange stuff, and pull the rug out from underneath, we don't know what's going to happen, and it could potentially just ruin everything. It could just be like a whatever your house of cards falling down because there's so much money in the streaming services and so much money in the things right now holding everything together for the future. And a team like the Packers, it definitely has to have that to survive. But other teams do kind of do too. You need to have the TV deals to pay all these salaries. Like what happens if all of a sudden like your TV contract or streaming contracts get cut and you can't afford all these salaries on your team?
Well, look, let's look at it from this angle. As like guys who grew up watching the Packers on local television, like that was great because you just turned on your local TV channel, Fox, NBC, whatever, and they were just on every Sunday. But it's a different world now. It's a different world. Like, unfortunately, the streaming services are where football is going. And I understand that, like, dude, there still should be a way for people to watch the games locally for free. There should be a way for them.
If you live in the Green Bay area or like nearby, there should be some way to do it.
Let's say like a 300-mile radius even of like the stadium, you get it for free, right? Like just on your local channel. That doesn't mean they still can't sign agreements with streaming services. Because I understand the fatigue. Like, I gotta have Prime, I gotta have Peacock, I gotta.
Yeah, it is a pain.
Yeah, I've got to have. Oh, the ghost just slammed the door. Shut up, ghost of communications past. So, like, I'm just saying, I understand the fatigue of the consumer. Like, it sucks, but dude, it's more than just the streaming channels. It's the fatigue of NFL greed. Games on Wednesdays, games on Thursdays, games on Fridays, games on Saturdays. Like, can we chill out a little bit? The greed is not just from the streaming services. It's also the NFL. It's also all the sponsors and everything else. They just want to fill up every second of our life with NFL football. And like, we do need to find a way to curtail it, but we don't need to stop the Packers from doing business as normal as any other entertainment.
Well, the thing is that like there's a lot of uneasiness and uncertainty with the future, and like like their contracts are going to go up and costs to do everything they do is going to go up. And certain teams can kind of fill up that where they have a big city where they can like do big stadium performances and stuff but some places like maybe Jacksonville, maybe Green Bay or smaller places, it's a lot harder for them to do that. Absolutely. To like, they just had a concert and LaFleur just slammed beers on stage, right? Whatever. Yeah. But that's the thing is like, how when it's so expensive at operating costs and salaries and stuff, how do people stay competitive? They're going to have to get these big TV contracts for it to work out somehow, and to have it be an even playing field. Because who wants Major League Baseball when there's like the Dodgers, like two teams that can just spend twice as much money, right? Like nobody wants that.
Again, this is they're trying to go after all NFL teams potentially, right? To not get streaming services. Like, I understand the base core of the complaint, but I agree with the Packers. Like, you can't just step in and say we're not allowed to do this because why is capitalism all of a sudden bad? Like, when, no offense to this senator, but it's like, it seems like you're pretty in favor of capitalism when it benefits you. Right. So why is it bad?
Well, it's very much a populist thing for a populist candidate to jump on the bandwagon and be like, oh, everyone's upset about this, I'll make it part of my platform.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll be the savior of like everybody and say I saved them, and all the grandmas now and grandpas at home can watch the games. And it sounds nice, but that's like populism, where it's just like the reality of the situation is teams are going to need a lot of money. And when you mess with those contracts that they have in place, like then people become uneasy, and you never know what, like they even said, you don't want to mess with the bricks of that foundation because you don't know where it could lead to this uncertainty. Because it's not like it was when you had TV and everybody watched the same thing and all the money came in from that one thing. Now it's moving all over the place.
Yeah. It's a lot more fluid. It's a lot more confusing. So again, I get where it's coming from, but This is the future.
Soder's chiming in finally. I was waiting for this. He hates the Packers are a socialist, not-for-profit organization, no billionaire owner. Oh yeah, see, he can't get contributions from billionaire owners, so he's mad about that. Yeah.
No, he hates the model. Isn't it funny how billionaires love to socialize losses and then capitalize on profits? Isn't that amazing how that works? It's weird. It's like they tell you socialism's bad until they use it for their own benefit. So, long story short, no need to get political here. But let the Packers get their money. That's all.
It's just much more like it's kind of an economics thing more than politics, right? It's economics and math. And
it is an economics problem. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like how teams can survive and compete and keep it even, Steven, because we see what happens with baseball when the Dodgers can literally just pick up any all-star they want, which just doesn't really make it fun.
No. Dude, honestly, Major League Baseball is kind of boring because it's just the Dodgers every year, right? And I mean, the Brewers and the Guardians.
And then if you have a player that's super good, then you're like, well, we have him for 2 years, and then gets swept up by a team that has more money.
Well, check this out. I'm sure a lot of you are watching the World Cup. I'm enjoying the hell out of it, by the way. It's really enjoyable to watch. As you guys may know, European football leagues, Italian, German leagues, Spanish leagues, the English Premier League. A lot of them had the model that Major League Baseball used to have, where it's like expensive teams could spend whatever they want for the longest time, and then they just crush the little guys. They're changing that model now because they realize their product is better when those profits are shared more evenly and more teams can compete. Like, it's just a better sports model when more teams can compete. And it's been proven. Which is why, even though Major League Baseball is still got a ton of people in the seats, they've been losing TV revenue for a while now, right? Where NFL revenue keeps going up because the league is so competitive. And I think competitiveness comes down to economics. Let's be honest. In sports, it comes down to economics.
You have to believe that your team has a chance to win, even if you're a Jets fan. You have to have that belief in yourself.
Not if you're a Jets fan.
You have to have some kind of belief, because otherwise, like, it's hard. Like when you want to even pick a team to cheer for or whatever. And often people want to root for those underdog teams because, it's an interesting story and it's really cool. Okay, so that was a really something to keep an eye on. It's just a breaking news because the Packers almost never released like press statements about anything like this. So it was like a kind of a once in a lifetime thing for them to do that.
Very different.
And to make us bold statements, say like, this guy sucks, like stop doing this stuff or whatever. And also the future of the NFL league, which is the number one watched thing for American sports. It's our bread and butter for like ad revenue and all kinds of stuff to keep, all this like entertainment going. But we can switch over and talk about some OTA stuff now. And Dave, I know I've heard that Caleb is really loving OTAs this year. He said that he's more comfortable. He understands football a little bit better,
Well, he said, I felt like I was drowning trying to breathe or stay alive and wait for a boat to come around last year, he said.
Yeah.
So he said
he's
already
breathing through a fire hose, he's getting all the offense.
And so he said this year it's a whole lot different. And Ben Johnson, remember, he was cracking the whip on the very first play. If you had a tight end lineup and they're off by half yard, if you had a wide receiver off by just like 1 foot, he's cracking on everyone else just so that way you can't have those mental lapses. This year, now everyone kind of understands it. So all of the vets are able to come in and they're able to help the new guys, the young guys, and to say, hey, this is how we do it. So they're all starting to, lift the bar up so they can lift it up. So it doesn't just have to be Ben Johnson. Caleb is able to take that. And one of the big things that Ben Johnson says is body language is key. One of the great things that Caleb said after practice last week is he was talking about how he was having a tough practice. The defense was looking too good. And then Khalif Raymond walks up to him and he said, hey man, everybody's watching you. Cut that shit out. So it's great that you're able to bring in a 32-year-old wide receiver. He came from Detroit, of course, but still to have a 32-year-old vet that comes in and tells the quarterback, hey, everybody's watching you, pay attention. And for Caleb to acknowledge that at a presser, nobody even asked him about it, but he just said, hey, that, he pointed it out, and I have to be more level and everything else. I can't have the high ups and the low downs. We don't want a robot, but it's still great that we have, we have the culture where people can come in and they can call out our all-star quarterback that we're going to pay $100 million a season in 2 years.
Wait, how is there a mute button? Dave's saying nice things about the Bears. We're not allowed to do that.
What's an all-star quarterback?
No, I'm saying he had a rough practice.
Right. He had a rough practice. He's having a tough time.
And he was and he was being a pouty little bitch.
Yeah.
So
They told him to grow up. So.
Yeah. So like, that's good job, Dave, of pooping on Caleb. But this is the question, though.
No, I'm trying to say from
He's
your
saying
tinted.
that Caleb's grown as a person.
Look,
Yeah,
no,
he
I'm
actually understands what
translating
the
for
heck's going
everybody
on.
to say Caleb's still bad. Okay, that's what I'm translating.
No, he's looking great. He's making plays.
He threw a pass 68 yards. I'm very aware. He threw a pass bar.
He threw a 40-yard touchdown pass to Burden the other day, but the ref, I think it was like single hand touch, whatever. The ref blew him out at the 5, and Burden goes into the end zone. Didn't see the ref make the call, so he kicks it into the woods. Everyone's running down the field because it's a 3-minute drill that you're down by 2 scores, and everyone hears Caleb's voice louder than everyone else's. Everyone, get your butt down there, and he's screaming at them. So he's taken the ownership like you want to see.
Well, yeah.
He didn't have that last year, but now he feels more comfortable. He's like, nope.
Well, apparently he's the next Michael Jordan, so he's cool and he's a leader now, all those things.
Yes. The Michael Jordan of the oil refineries.
Of the oil refinery.
Yeah. So second year in Ben Johnson's offense, I think he should improve greatly, especially.
Well, this is the thing, though. He's probably going to look a lot better in training camp and practice, but then when it comes to games and you have to process quickly against another team that's scheming against you and understands your tendencies, I think that's when we'll really know if he's going to progress, right?
Yeah. Well, what do I always say? Don't talk to me about practice.
It's cool to talk about it. I just think we need to have it in perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like same thing about the Packers. When you're like, oh, the Packers defensive line looks great. Well, their offensive line might be a trash, right?
Yeah.
Like it's possible.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember the years that we first got LaFleur and they were talking about how the defense was just dominating.
So dominant. Yeah.
They're like, they're crushing the offense. And it's like, yeah, they know all their plays and they know the guys. Like, don't.
And you can't really block without pads on.
Was garbage. So, right.
Yeah, you can't really block anyone if you don't have pads on because it's easy to just slip right by you, right?
That's true. And that's the thing. So, like, from Packers OTAs, the takeaway has been that the rookies have all looked pretty damn good. Of course, like Cisse has some things to catch up on. He did allow people to do some double moves on him, but like physically, he can just stick to anybody and just be like, a cover guy and just stick with anybody on the team. Which is a good sign, and McClellan and all these guys, they all have made big plays and look like they're looking the part. There's nothing negative to say. Jaeger Burton has been playing a ton. The team loves him. You can tell they're like, well, he's like the golden child. We're like, please find a way to start on our team, right? So those are good things to hear. And then, of course, we hear Micah keeps talking about how he thinks LVN is the greatest football player ever to live. We don't.
He said Caleb Williams is the greatest. He is the best.
I know. He
football
also said
player
Caleb. I know. That's why I'm saying I'm doing this on purpose to like deride your Caleb Williams.
That was actually
Micah
taken
things
out of context, by the way. So Micah came out and said he didn't say Caleb was #1 player in the NFL. By the way.
They're just
hate, dude. This is why I love that the hype rate for Caleb is so ridiculously high right now because it's
great. It's a lot of stress and pressure.
It's a really hard fall, like really far way to fall and break something. So
now my favorite comment that I heard about Bears OTA so far is one of the Bears reporters. He said, "Hey, Xavier Thomas actually looks like he can run a route. He doesn't run great routes, but he's a lot better than I expected."
Yeah.
So it's great when you hear, "Oh, I'm happy that our third round wide receiver can actually run." This is
good to hear from a team
route.
That's never developed a wide receiver in their entire existence. So it's good to hear that they had a nice little practice.
Facts. Wow, I didn't even think about that. That is true.
I have been reading all the smack talk on the internet where Bears fans are now all of a sudden complete experts at offense, wide receiver, quarterback, everything. And I'm like, when have you actually done that yourself, sir?
Yeah. It's like we really can't make a linebacker very well. They can't.
No, not so much.
So I mean, that's why everyone still loves Clay Matthews. He's like the one linebacker we drafted that was like good. Do you know what I mean?
And then his steroids affected his body, and then it broke down. And
I don't
know if that was you or the steroids.
Everyone has flashes, but like it's a little different.
It's just that everybody's excited in the offseason. Everything. All the Bear fans think they're expert at wide receivers now, and I'm like, name one wide receiver you've developed that was good, and they're like, oh, shut up.
Oh no, but that was a funny thing. He wasn't even saying that he was running great routes. He wasn't saying he was running crisp routes. He's like, I was happy he ran a good route.
We can remember in training camp last year, the Vikings were like, J.J. McCarthy can just really thread the needle and get that ball right in between where he needs to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, now it's cool to hear that, but you have to think about it for a second. And you're like, if you actually watch the footage of J.J. McCarthy in practice, you're like, that's not really impressive at what he's doing. It did not look that good. They were just making shit up to like sound good, right? Yeah. So when you hear reporters say good things about the Packers wide rookies, the takeaway is that like they didn't say nothing bad. They're not like, oh, he looks lost or he doesn't look like he belongs in the NFL. You can't really assume that they're going to be good. You're just saying that like things are kind of on track, right? To like, maybe there'll be good things happening. And also Jordan Love has been throwing like crazy, like crossfield throws and stuff like that, where you just, those things make you feel good. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like it doesn't, you're not saying like, oh, book the Super Bowl right now, but they're all just leading towards maybe some good things.
Don't get overhyped. And also, Soder, don't get worried. You know when you can panic about Smack? When he misses 2 field goals against the Bears in a playoff game. That's when you can panic about Smack. That's what our last kicker did, and he was worse in the NFL. We're not going to be that much worse. Like, even if Smack is trash, he's trash for a year, whatever. Maybe he's good. The
thing is, I'm a little bit worried about Smack because we've heard from Longway, who's come out on the radio and said Ryan Longwell, sorry. And he said that like every single successful Packers kicker, him, Chris Jackie, all these guys, Crosby, have learned how to kick in Lambeau and learn how to change their trajectory to be lower and do all these things because there's swirling winds in Lambeau that cause a problem. And I've never heard someone talk about this before, but he's like, Longwell's like, look, whenever they bring in these kickers, they're always having a big head and think they know what they're going to do. And he's just laughing at them because he's just like, they're not figuring it out. So he said, if Smack has a high apex trajectory, which is a big problem in Lambeau Field, so he's going to have to adjust his game. So we have to see him doing that. Longwell's like, I talked to the kid about it and everything, but like you've got to adjust to Lambeau Field or it's a big problem, because he's like, anybody that hasn't adjusted, washed out, and they couldn't handle it. Even the guy they picked in the 3rd round was like Brett Conway, I think.
I wonder if that's why our kickers tend to last so long too, because it is more of a specialized kicking field, right? That, you know, Mason Crosby had some pretty bad years. Let's be honest. Like, I love Mason Crosby. I'm not shitting on him. I love him. I'm just saying there's a couple years where Mason Crosby looked like he was done.
No, you're screaming for him to get fired for like 3 years in a row.
Yeah. Well, dude, there was one year he was like 10 of 17, and you're like, yikes, dude. And then the next year he was like 28 of like 32.
I think that we're learning is that kicking, there's a lot of mental things to kicking, right? Like, and you saw like recently the Packers kickers have had problems with block kicks again. It happened against like the Bears and stuff.
Sure.
And so you think about it, when you have to lower your trajectory, that's bad because then it's easier to block, right? It's much easier just to loft it up. But in that works great in domes, bro. But they need to adjust to the outdoor elements, so that we have no idea if Smack's going to be able to do that, but they're probably going to give him a good shot because he's a draft pick.
Yeah. I'm just, dude, I didn't trust McManus, and even before that Bears game.
And in the backup kid that they have, I forget his name, but he might end up.
That's the Boston.
He might
player.
He already has a Packers record. He might end up actually having the starting job for a while until Smack figures it out.
Substitute. He's a substitute teacher. That's all I can remember. But Harbisek, it's something like that.
He might Wally Pip Smack just like Longwell did to
honestly,
Brett Conway.
If Trey Smack goes on the practice squad, I'm sure somebody will pick
He'll keep him around and he'll see if he can figure it out.
Yeah. Harvasek, is that what it is?
Yeah, see, Haversick he's hitting almost all of his kicks and he's looking good.
And I think he learned how to kick that way because he was pretty good when we had him for those couple of games, and then he missed like 3 out of 4 kicks, and McManus was healthy. So those
substitute teachers, man, they have a lot of time to practice.
I guess so, dude. I guess I'll take it.
Is there anything else from OTAs that you guys have wanted to pick up on?
Tucker Kraft looks healthy. That's important.
Yes.
I'm very happy.
And he was talking trash at his locker, like, I'm the best. You better watch out. And I'm like, this is kind of the mentality we need out of the team.
Jordan Morgan also, I know that LVN beat him on a couple plays without pads. Obviously, that's going to happen. But they said that overall, Jordan Morgan is getting to the right place off the snap. His hands are in the right place. Like, I'm very happy that we let Walker go so that Morgan can get that starting tackle position. And I think as long as he stays healthy, we're going to be in a pretty good spot at left tackle. So I'm pretty happy with what I've heard.
So they're saying St. Juice did not get cornerback reps, which is kind of weird.
We're confused about that too. There may be an injury we don't know about. They don't really like to disclose too much of that stuff. Some of it's just conjecture. Who knows? But I'm sure he'll play a decent amount. Keyshawn Nixon did get a lot of cornerback reps. Again, maybe just because
I feel like St. Juice have some kind of injury issue.
Yeah, maybe just because they're used to it. But again, it's just OTAs, man. Like, we'll see more in training.
Well, there's also the little story about Jason Wilde talking about Keyshawn Nixon hinting that he's going to hold out. And my God,
please do. Please.
Now, there was an amazing quote.
Best thing I've ever heard in my life. It was so good. I remember it. Do you remember it? He said it was on ESPN Milwaukee or something like that, and he was like,
it was Nagler and what's his name, the guy from ESPN
TV.
Yeah, but he's talking to the guy from ESPN Milwaukee, Billy. He's talking to Billy, and Billy says that Keyshawn Nixon might cut the cord, and he's like, that's like cutting the dial-up cord.
Yeah. He goes, hey, Keyshawn Nixon, you want to hold out? That's great, but it's hard to get your money when you're selling dial-up internet in a broadband world.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
like Keyshawn's dial-up basically is what he's saying. It was a great quote. We completely butchered it. Anyway, look for that. Keyshawn, feel free to hold out, dude. You kind of were underpaid last year for a starting cornerback. You were massively overpaid for a really bad starting cornerback.
Well, so, that's kind of the thing is that like they can hold it over the head and be like, hey, if you want to hold out because you're a starting cornerback, maybe you're not the starter anymore. Maybe you're a backup. So that's that. And now over the offseason, when he's thinking about this and seeing these other guys like Cisse play, like, that's something Packers going to be like, well, you're not really a cornerback one. You just were because we didn't have anybody else. Yeah. So, and that's obviously a big issue for the Packers this year. And Damian, the other rookie, did not practice because I think he was injured. So we still have yet to see that guy, Damani Jackson,
losing an injury. And again, remember now, before Keyshawn Nixon was the quote unquote number one QB last year, we still thought Jair was coming back. They tried to work out a deal with him.
That's true.
It didn't work out. He goes to the Ravens. Everyone thinks it's a steal. Ravens cut him after 7 games?
And he's trying to come back to the Packers, but that's not happening.
Yeah. So I think the Packers made the right choice. It just happened to be that they didn't draft cornerbacks last year. We knew that would be a problem. It was a problem. They addressed it this year. They drafted cornerbacks. They signed a cornerback. We're going to find a way through it. And I just
is Keyshawn Nixon to cornerbacks what Jacoby Brissett is to quarterbacks?
I mean, no,
they're starters and they think they should get paid starter money.
I mean, no, Brissett's been in the league long enough. We know what Brissett is. Like Brissett's.
Well, know what Nixon is too.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Nixon, please.
They're both talking about holding out.
Just cut you. Like Nixon is appropriately paid right now at about $6 million a year to be a 4th string cornerback, which is what he should be, right? So, but again, he was a starter. If he wants to hold out, good luck to you. We'll cut you. We'll move on.
Well, tight end is another thing. So we're bringing up.
Isn't Wiley looking good? Isn't that your third string
looking good?
Yes.
LaFleur said he can do a little bit of everything.
Wiley's taken his spot as this number 2 tight end, but I think what they'll do is they'll put in Musgrave as just like a receiving guy in special packages because they love to use him deep.
Hold on, we just signed a tight end today. You guys saw that, right?
Who did we sign?
Signed a former Iowa tight end, not Luke Lucci, the Panthers guy, Luke Coolsey or something like that. Former Iowa tight end. That was on, I believe, the Colts or the Texans last year. We picked him up.
Luke Lachey.
Lachey, that's what it is. Luke Lachey.
Off the Houston Texans.
Off the Houston Texans. Yep, we just signed him today. So, that could be maybe a sign that Musgrave's on the way out, or maybe we put him in a trade package, or who knows. But
well, I think them, like other teams, like we mentioned, the Bears and stuff, they want.
What do they give us for Musgrave, Soder? What would be an appropriate trade for Musgrave? Like popsicle,
get a 7th?
And a ham sandwich. Like,
okay, so
are they going to give us a 7?
Apparently, the Packers have been trying to get Lachey for a while, but he failed a physical.
Oh, I heard it.
So they were trying to get him like a month or 2 ago. So now I guess he's now on the team.
No, Luke Musgrave gets open a lot. If you actually look at his statistics of his ability to get open, like as a tight end, he is very athletic, but he had injury issues when he was at Oregon State. He's had a bit of injury issues with the Packers. He's also made a bunch of bonehead plays and Tucker Kraft was out all of the second half of the season. Did Musgrave do anything for this team?
He's not good at football. He's good at anything. All he can do is run fast.
So is any NFL team going to see that and say, "Oh yeah, I want to give up a 7th round"?
Well, Soder is saying a 6th round. He thinks maybe.
Think so, Soder. I think we're going to have to cut him.
The thing, right? But the idea is like teams might still believe in his potential because he was a 2nd round draft pick, right?
That's fair. If you're really weak in your tight end room and you want to give up a 6th or a 7th for him, I'd say that's not a bad move. It just depends on the team. But I think he's got potential. I just don't think it's going to work.
The Packers need reliability and guys that can block, guys that can play in LaFleur's scheme and like do the things, because they love all the end arounds and all the little shifty stuff. And with Musgrave in there, you're just like, he's only in there to be that deep play threat, really. And they were hoping he would develop and get better. But the thing is, like, you need versatile tight ends that can go in there and at least just be decent at everything, right? And Wiley's going to be one of those guys, and maybe Lashy is going to be that too. And because that's kind of what Tucker Kraft's kind of like a superpowered version of that. He's pretty good at everything, but when he gets the ball in his hand, he just runs guys over.
Totally different story, than
what I'm saying is, like, he's pretty good at blocking. He can do everything pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a superstar blocker. But he's like, he can do it at a decent level where you're like, he'll do a good job and it works in the offense and it helps. But when he gets the ball in his hand, he runs who's over. You're like, whoa, dude, that guy is like magnetic. Like, he's amazing.
Kind of falls over. So.
And but my point is that Kraft turned into being just like a solid tight end into being a superstar. He first solid tight end, then I'm going to run everyone over and just blow your mind away.
I think the Packers are also disappointed because after Kraft went down last year, Musgrave had a chance to step up and did nothing with it. He did nothing with it. So I think they're like, okay, what are our other options? Because
they've given enough time to
especially if they're going to sign Tucker to this big contract, like they need to know, like if he is going to miss a game or two, if they're going to build this offense around them, or in at least some of it, which they should because he is so dynamic. They got to have somebody that can come in and at least give us 60 to 70% of that, right? And Musgrave kind of proved he can't. So, time for him to go. I'd love to get a 6 or a 7 Soder, but I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if it's actually. So, all right. I guess that's all I got for OTAs. What else we got?
Oh, yeah. Luke is his son. Okay.
Luke Lachey. Okay. And the Packers love bloodlines. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We love to get dudes whose dads are in the NFL. That's for sure. So,
heroin junkies.
Christian Watson, perfect example.
And Clay Matthews,
another example. We just signed Jerry Rice's kid. Remember that, guys? Anybody hear about that dude? But no. So, all right, Dave, give me one more. Okay. So while we're in Hammond, right? While we're here in Hammond, Indiana, what do you think we should go see? What do you think the best sites for us to see are while we're still here this week? Because it's going to be our only show in Hammond, guys. Unfortunately, the federal marshals came up to us and gave us a warning that you can only breathe the air here for about 24 hours before you have to leave. So we can't stay long. We can't.
We need some quick hitters.
Yeah. So what can we do tomorrow? What do you think, Dave? What should we do while we're in Hammond, Indiana?
My suggestion would be to take the first Greyhound out of town on it.
Just get on a bus.
Unless if you can find a hazmat suit and then you can go walk on.
From the bus
I hear the lake is beautiful this time of year. That glistening shimmer of oil right on the top is just immaculate.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What a great idea. Just hit the brakes and get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And it's only 20 minutes to Chicago in a not direct line, by the way. So yes.
Yeah, what is this, like 40 minutes to downtown Chi-Town?
Yeah. And
the freeway when the owners or the president tried to say, oh yeah, we think this is going to tie the northern loop of Chicago into Hammond, Indiana. It's going to be a great opportunity. It's like, that's nowhere even near that, dude.
Yeah,
it's so geographically they're completely blind. It's
a
cluster, but it's free money for the Bears, and
that's what it is.
Well, good luck to all.
Let's just get it done with.
Good luck to all the Bear fans in Wisconsin getting over there. Okay, through all that traffic.
Right?
Okay. Are you gonna fly into Indianapolis and then drive up? Okay, maybe.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Soder, thanks for showing up. This will be again our only show live in Hammond, Indiana. So thanks to One-Eyed Bob and Slime Fingers Jim, who sold us this presidential suite.
And Gutter Gary at the front desk.
That's right. We really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Love you. And maybe we'll come back again. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, everybody.